Hey there, explorers. Are you ready for another adventure? Welcome to Adventures in Painting, the Paint Along podcast. That's right, you can paint along with me. I'm doing digital painting in Photoshop, or you can use acrylics or whatever you like to use. I don't care. This is episode 7, and our painting is still called Leaving at Sunrise. I think it's really coming along. I think it looks nice. I've worked a lot on my cabin. I put some shading, shingles, lines on the roof. It's kind of like a tin roof, I guess. Worked a lot on my hedges using stippling. If you don't know about stippling, I think I talked about it in episode 2 or 3. Or you can just look it up. It's called Google. It's your friend. Stippling is what I use to get this effect on the hedges and stuff. Yeah, so we're still talking about lucid dreaming in this episode. Because I love dreaming so much. And I have a few articles I'm going to read. And it'll be fun. Oh, and today we're going to work on the grass. So, sorry, I'm like itching everywhere. My bad. We're going to work on the grass, and I think I have a technique I'm going to use. We'll get to it. That will make this really easy, hopefully easy. So, let's do a little bit of that, and then we'll get to the lucid dreaming. I'm going to try to bounce back and forth with good balance. Try to keep a good balance on that. Also, it's not cranberry vodka. Sorry, it's a beer, a cheap beer or I don't know. If you like it, I'm not bashing it. I actually don't mind it. But I'm drinking beer today. Oh well. Sometimes you gotta shake things up. That's right. So for grass, we're gonna get a small brush, about 10 pixels. Let's see what that does. That's a good pixel. So 10 pixels. I'm going to go with the green here and then make it darker. We want it to harmonize with the colors that's already on the palette. So we're going to try that. And then we'll do some lighters and maybe some more with yellow in it. But right now we're just going to stick with this. And I'm going to make... Oh, it's not dark enough. Hang on. I got to turn my opacity up. I'm going to turn it up to like 51. That works. I'm just going to do some lines. Some random... Basically, I'm going to make a small patch. And small patch of grass, and then because I'm using digital painting, I can sort of spread that across my painting. Now, if you're using acrylics or another media, you might have a special brush that does this, and then you just put it everywhere and do different shades and hues. I'm going to try it this way. I've never done this before. I'm going to try it. Basically, you want lines of all different sizes, shapes, angles. You know, grass gets bent. Sometimes it goes straight. You never know. So you don't want it too muddy though. And I'm going to put in some other colors. So let me try something lighter now. We'll get to lucid dreaming soon, I promise. I know, you might be here for the lucid dreaming. Well, there's 2 other episodes on that. Catch up. That was too light. I'm going to darken it a little bit. Alright, so... yeah. There we go. There's some grass. It just occurred to me, I have no idea what layer I'm on because I've been not paying attention to that. And if you've watched other episodes, that should not surprise you. I'm on something called layer 6. Let's see what that does. The rest of layer 6 takes place on the house and a little shading here on the ground, so I don't think it's going to affect me. We'll find out. I'm going to be bad. I should have put that on its own layer, but I didn't. Maybe I can in the future, but right now I'm just going to keep working on it. That's okay. I'm not a perfectionist. If you haven't guessed by now, I am not a perfectionist. And I'm okay with that. Alright, we need some darker. Even though I made it darker, I'm going to turn the opacity down a little bit so it's not like too starkly dark. Let me try 45. I also think, see, because grass isn't always the same like width either, so let me try some at 7 pixels. It's all trial and error, sorry. That happens. Alright. Yeah, so how was your week? Anything interesting? Did you try any of the lucid dreaming stuff? I'd like to hear about it. You can always make a comment. Comments are down below if you haven't noticed. Surely you're not new to YouTube. You know how to make a comment. In fact, you could comment on how annoying I am when I talk about comments. You know, at least there'd be a comment. Alright, so that looks fine. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. I'm going to introduce a little bit of yellow because when the sun's shining on it, the sun, no matter, even if it's like peeking over the clouds, it's going to have a bit of yellow in it. So let me, I've messed up here. Sorry. It's not very yellow, green. There, is that better? Okay, so let's try it. Yeah, it just adds a little hint. And I'm going to try to do it just on the tips because that's where the sun would hit. And kind of like on the top side of these darker ones. Because in my mind that makes sense that this lighter side where the sun's hitting would be on the left because the sun in our picture is, I'm trying to point to it on the screen. The sun in the picture is here on the left. So it should be shining from that way, and then the darker side would be on the right. Basic physics, light physics. Kind of wish it was thinner though. Don't hate me. I'm gonna, wait, I have to undo all that. It just wasn't thin enough. I'm gonna go down to 4 pixels. There. Like I said, trial and error is the name of the game. And like that. So yeah, and we don't have to talk about lucid dreaming every episode. I don't plan on it, but anything you want to talk about, let me know in the comments below if I haven't mentioned. Okay. There, I don't know, just little pops of it here and there. Okay, so I had to break away for a moment, but while I was gone, I went ahead and just did more on the grass. So I filled it in a lot more, different colors. I kind of turned a lot of the blades to be more pointy because grass is pointy. I think I might have to go out and look at some, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of pointy at the end. I don't know. So, yeah. There we go. Nice patch of grass. I think that looks fine. And then we'll spread it out. So, hey, let's get to our first article. Let's see what we got here. This article is called From RealityUnmasked.com. We read an article from this website in the last episode too. Okay, this article is called My First Lucid Dream Became My First Out-of-Body Experience. Whoa. That's awesome. Alright. By Rick Harris. Thanks, Rick. Okay, let's see what happened to Rick. I remember my first very vivid lucid dream. It was hard to accept for me at the time. The first instance that I remember was walking through our house around the age of 14 or 15, maybe. It started with me, just all of a sudden, walking through the house and wondering why it was so bright. Inside the house, it was brighter than the brightness of a normal moon. The sky outside The sky outside appeared brighter through the windows than a normal moon too. Everything seemingly had a glow to it. So it was like, not like daylight, but moonlight would have been not this bright. This was a lot brighter than normal, than it should have been. I was still not aware that I was dreaming until I reached the back door. Reaching for the doorknob, my hand went right through it. Yikes. Aha, I thought. This is weird. All I wanted was to be on the back of the sidewalk. Then I was there instantly. It dawned on me that I was in a lucid dream. Yay. I had read about lucid dreams and now it was happening to me. So this was his first lucid dream. He read about it. Now he's having one. At the time, it was not so shocking because I realized that what I had read about was true. I had read books by Robert Monroe, who is very famous for the out-of-body experience phenomenon, Bruce Moen, and other books referencing the subject. Now it was happening to me. I was beginning to see parts of the bigger picture. I got quickly into exploring the now obvious lucid dream that I was having. I just wanted to touch on something real quick. It was not so shocking because I realized that what I had read about was true. Until you have your first lucid dream, I've heard of people that believe it's not even true, like don't even believe it's possible. And for a lucid dreamer, it's like you can't prove it, but you know it's true. What else in life are we, dismissing that is probably actually true? Alright, so I had fun exploring the fact that I could fly, but I never ventured too far from the house. One thing I noted quickly was that flying through power lines produced a slight buzzing until I reached the top high voltage wire. Flying through power lines, that's funny. All of my life, I have had issues. If I try to fly too high, I run into power lines. And I can't go any higher. I'm scared to go higher. I don't want to get electrocuted. These aren't usually lucid dreams, though. But it's just funny that he mentioned power lines. Yeah. Interestingly, though, I wonder if that's like a symbol for him, like some kind of symbology that he's reaching a vibrational state. Interesting. When I passed through the top high voltage line, I felt a pronounced louser, too much cores, apparently. We'll get through it. Louder buzzing with a slight tingle from that high voltage line. Aha, I thought. the soul has substance. My physical body was still back in bed, which did not feel so shocking until later, going over the memory of it. Then it dawned on me what had happened. I had gone from a lucid dream to going into an out-of-body experience. I had just come to grips with some knowledge and understanding of this phenomena, but now it was happening to me. I felt shock and awe. Yeah, it's really cool. I have now mastered the paralysis state by stating my intent to bypass the state of paralysis, and it works. Okay, interesting. I never feel paralysis or fear of not being able to move, not be able to wiggle a finger, hand, or foot. Now, after that experience, my awareness simply comes out instantly. Wow, that's awesome. I truly understand that when we truly are more than our physical bodies, just as Robert Monroe has stated in his books. I told my mother about being paralyzed and not able to move. She advised me, after thinking for a few seconds, that I should pray about it, and it worked. She didn't turn and look at me because she was washing dishes. It made me wonder later how much she had experienced herself. So her advice was to pray about it, which is fine. I mean, pray, there's all kinds of praying. And he prayed about it, which I think he was talking about stating his intent not to feel the paralysis, and now he can just like simply bypass it by doing that. That's really interesting. That's something to take with us. Thanks, Rick Harris. Pray. You know, prayer is very, very powerful, especially when you're dealing with consciousness work. Praying kind of almost, I don't want to say bypasses the ego, because I think the ego is heavily involved in praying, but it's almost like a back door to setting the ego on the back burner and just letting it go. Let it go to God. All right, I like that. Nice. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to call it lawn. Lawn, yard, you know what I mean? Lawn. I know, I have a bad accent, and it gets worse when I drink. It's called lawn because it's out in front of the house. And I already have a layer called grass, so I don't want to get confused. Now, I've just got to move this over to it, so give me 1 second. Take that off, put it on the new layer called lawn. Now I don't have to worry about it messing anything up. There. Now, how I plan to do this is, because I copied and pasted that, I'm just going to paste a lot more. That's how digital painting works, except for when you do that and then messes everything up. Let's try again. All right, there. Now I'm just going to set this around randomly, kind of. Random order. Basically, that's kind of describes my life. Maybe that's why I gravitate towards that style of painting. Okay. Yeah, now I'm gonna cut away because you don't need to see me do this. If you're doing your own painting, you can try not to do what I'm doing at the moment. If you're doing your own painting, you can do this however you want. I don't care. This is how I'm doing it. Clearly, it's not working that great. But when it works, and it works wonderful. There. I'm going to cut away. I'm going to do that a lot more times, and then we'll see what it looks like. 1 second. Okay, and one thing I wanted to mention is the grass, as we get further away towards those hedges and towards the house, it should get smaller. So I'm just going to start with like a little smaller. And then we'll just get smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay. That is smaller, right? I think. Is that smaller? All right, let's try that again. Let's see, X. Nope. Nope. Oop. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so spread my grass around everywhere. I made them bigger in the front, and then it goes gradually smaller all the way to the back towards the hedges. And then I kind of flip some of them so they're not looking too much like they're just put in rows. What do you think? Looks like grass, right? Hopefully it does. Look, this is what it was before. And look, now we have grass. Yay! Grass is always good. But as they say, the grass is not always greener on the other side. I'm still waiting to see if that's true. Okay. So we still got to do some shadows and stuff, but I think that looks good. All right, put that into a group called Lawn. And there we go. All right. We'll be probably finish this painting in this episode. Okay, let's get back to another article. What do we have next? This article is called, from realityunmasked.com, is called The Lucid Dreaming Playbook, How to Take Charge of Your Dreams. Cool. Let's see what they have to say. Let me just readjust here. You know, sitting down for long periods of time is, wonderful. Wonderful for your knees and everything like that. Okay. In Tibetan Buddhism, the group of tantric techniques known as Nilam, did I pronounce that correctly? Aim to reveal the illusory nature of waking life by having practitioners perform yoga in their dreams. It is a ritualized version of one of the most mysterious faculties of the human mind, to know that we're dreaming even while asleep, a state known as lucid dreaming. Yep. Alright. Sounds good so far. Have you ever done yoga in your dreams? I haven't. I don't do yoga when I'm awake, so but maybe someday I'll learn how. Lucidity, awareness of the dream, is different to control, having power over the perimeters of the experience, which can include summoning up objects and people, attaining superpowers, and traveling to fantastic worlds. But the two are closely linked, and many ancient spiritual traditions teach that dreams can yield to us with time and practice. How? Okay, so we're going to learn how to, control our dreams. So I don't really believe in full control, but I do believe in, influencing the experience. Okay. As a researcher in psychology, I've approached the question scientifically. Despite the long history of lucid dreaming in social studies, it wasn't until 1975 that researchers came up with an ingenious way to verify the phenomenon empirically. The first step was the insight that the muscles of the eyes are not paralyzed during sleep, unlike the rest of the body. Inspired by the work of Celia Green, the British hypnotherapist Keith Hearn reasoned that this should allow lucid dreamers to communicate with the outside world. He had an experienced dreamer spend several nights in a sleep lab and instructed him to flick his eyes left to right with prearranged signs when he finally entered a lucid dream. The volunteer succeeded, and Hearn was able to record the movements, which corresponded with the rapid eye movement phase of sleep. Many later studies have since replicated these findings. For what I think I've read about it, I could be wrong. They determined how the guy should move his eyes, and then he would go to sleep, get lucid, and then do that, and then they were able to record it outside. And they considered that a success. Yet distilling reliable methods for inducing lucid dreams has proved to be a struggle. Although around 40 studies have been conducted on the subject since the 1970s, most of them reported scant success. In most studies, between around 3% and 13% of attempts resulted in a lucid dream. Yeah, it's hard to study, I'm sure. But when I first started my PhD, I noticed that most of the research was limited by such things as the small sample sizes and unreliable measurements. So I set about trying to address the limitations and investigate some of the more promising methods. In the study, I published with colleagues at the University of Adelaide. The best technique turned out to be something called mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, originally developed in the 1970s by an American psychophysiologist Stephen LaBerge. Stephen LaBerge is very, very famous and popular for his work with the lucid dreaming research. And they're talking about mnemonic induction of lucid dreams. We talked about that in the last episode. M-I-L-D, mild. So, it involves the following steps. 1. Set an alarm for 5 hours after you go to bed. So let's say you go to bed at 10, then you want to set it for 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 a.m. And typically, like I said before, 3 a.m. is a very good target time to wake up at. When the alarm sounds, try to remember a dream from just before you woke up. If you can't, just recall any dream you had recently. So if you're writing down in your dream journal, you probably already have one that you can use if you can't immediately recall the dream you were just having. Lie in a comfortable position with the lights off and repeat the phrase, "Next time I'm dreaming, I will remember that I'm dreaming." Do this silently in your mind. You need to put real meaning into the words and focus on your intention to remember. That's what we talked about in the last episode. Every time you repeat the phrase at step 3, imagine yourself back in the dream you recalled at step 2, and visualize yourself remembering that you are dreaming. So you're laying there, you just woke up, you're laying there, and you're saying, "The next time I'm dreaming, I will remember I'm dreaming." Also, at the same time, I'm seeing that dream in my mind. So I'm picturing that and visualizing as I'm saying that I'll remember the next time I'm dreaming that I'm dreaming. I'm visualizing myself in that previous dream becoming lucid. So let's say I was having a dream, I was at the grocery store and someone threw a banana at my face, and and right before it hit my eyes it said, "You are dreaming." But I woke up and I'm like, dang, I should have realized I was dreaming. Well, now you can visualize that you did get lucid, and that's part of this practice. Step 5. Repeat steps 3 and 4 until you either fall asleep or are sure that your intention is to remember. That you either fall. Let's start over. Step 5. Repeat steps 3 and 4 until you either fall asleep or are sure that your intention to remember is set. This should be the last thing in your mind before falling asleep. So you just try to fall back asleep with this replaying in your head. If you find yourself repeatedly coming back to your intention to remember that you're dreaming, that's a good sign that it's firm in your mind. We relied on data from 169 people from all over Australia who kept a dream journal so we could measure the effect of induction techniques against their baseline tendency. More than half the people who used mild ended up having at least one lucid dream in the week they started practicing. They also went from experiencing these dreams about one night out of 11 to about one night in 6. So they're just by doing this, their chances of becoming lucid greatly increased. These findings are very exciting and are some of the highest success rates reported in the scientific literature. I'm still learning how to speak, okay? I don't talk right. Excuse me. Surprisingly, the number of times that people repeated the mantra about remembering that they're dreaming, or even the amount of time spent on mild overall on the practice of doing this, did not predict success. So they're saying like the number of times you do it not necessarily leads to success. Instead, the most important factor was being able to complete the technique and then go back to sleep quickly. Yes, you don't want to wake yourself up too much. You got to have some brain activity and intention setting, but you need to go back to sleep. In fact, it proved almost twice as effective when people fell asleep within 5 minutes after setting their intention. If you want to try this for yourself, you'll need to experiment in order to get the right level of wakefulness when the alarm goes off. Enough to allow yourself to complete the steps, but not so much that you struggle to doze off again. And I talked about this in the last episode with mild, with wake back to bed. You got to wake yourself up a little bit, but not too much. It's a very, very small window there. Not a lot to play around with, but that's why you have to experiment for yourself and see what's the best. Doing the technique after 5 or so hours of sleep is important. Most of our dreams occur in the last 2 or 3 hours before awaking. And you want to minimize the time between finishing that technique and entering REM sleep. They think that most of our dreams, or all of our dreams, I have different opinions on this, happen during REM. I think that we're dreaming constantly. It's just that during REM we're able to be aware of it. But, whatever. That's different opinion. Alright. It takes a bit of practice, but if you're lucky, you might even have a lucid dream using mild on your first night. If you do become aware that you're dreaming, it's important to stay calm, since intense emotions can trigger a premature awakening. And if the dream starts to fade or seems unstable, you can try rubbing your hands together vigorously from within the dream. It sounds strange, but this strategy works by flooding the brain with sensations from within the dream which decreases the chance of becoming aware of your sleeping physical body and waking up. Okay, so what I have to say about this, intense emotions can trigger a premature awakening. That's true. What I've learned is, like, when I was doing a lot of my self-development, self-improvement stuff, anxiety, dealing with anxiety, learning breathing techniques helps immensely with anxiety, and it can help in the dream too. So if you're like, you just got lucid, but you can feel yourself like getting so amped up, even though you're not really in a body that's breathing, just knowing the breathing techniques, knowing how to stay calm will prolong your ability to stay in the dream and be lucid, and rubbing your hands, like they said. So all of that stuff helps. Okay, aside from the sheer joy of being able to spin an imaginary world at your will, aside from the sheer joy of being able to bend an imaginary world to your will, there's a range of additional psychological benefits to lucid dreaming. For one, it can help with nightmares. Simply knowing that you're dreaming often brings relief during a nasty episode. Yeah, so if you're having a nightmare and you become lucid, you can just bolt out of there and just like, I'm done with this. Or you can turn around and face your fear, face the villain that's chasing you, whatever's happening with the nightmare. Yeah, lucid dreaming, you should try to use it to do that. And when you do that, it leads to healing. You might be able to use dreams to process trauma, confronting who's haunting you, making peace with an attacker, escaping the situation by flying away, or even just waking up. Other potential applications include practicing sporting skills by night, having more active participants for studies about sleep and dreaming, and the pursuit of creative inspiration. With practice, our dream state can feel almost as vivid to us as the world itself, and leaves you wondering, perhaps, where fantasy ends and reality begins. Yeah. Actually, I've heard of like sports people, if they're able to lucid dream, like practicing sports in their dream, and then when they go to play and when they're awake. I don't like to say in real life. I don't even like to say when awake. It's just when you do this for a while, it gets really confusing about what's real, what's awake, But anyway, but there is a distinction, clearly. So these sports people might practice their craft in the dream, and then they wake up and it's almost like they were practicing while not dreaming. I've heard it works that way. Okay. Yeah, so that's the end of that. Back to our painting. I think it looks really nice. Let me go in to our cabin here. That grass looks good. Good job. Good job, Justin. Pat on the back. Cool. So I wanted to put some little flower. I'm imagining these brown things on the windows are like flower beds. So I want to put some flowers in there. I don't want to take up too much time. Surely by now you know how to put some flowers in there. I'll get started on it and then we'll break away and go read some more about lucid dreaming. We'll see what happens. Okay. But I'll be right back. I gotta save my work and I can't do that while I'm recording. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so I'm gonna put some flowers here. I've got green for the stalks and leaves. And I'm on a layer called, well, it's going to be called flowers. Or no, actually I want to do windowsill, because I might add flowers later into the grass. Windowsill. Is that spelled correctly? I don't know. Okay, let's see what happens. There's a stalk. The opacity is not high enough. My bad. Let's try again. There's a stalk. Excuse me. Too much beer and now I'm burping. But at least it wasn't like real loud. There's a stalk with some leaves. I don't know. There's a stalk and a leaf. There's a leaf. And there. So, I was thinking about doing tulips. And tulips are pretty easy. And they come in different colors. You got yellow. So let me do yellow real quick. Tulips are typically like just real simple like that. And I'll do another one here. And then I'll change colors. Actually, I'm going to do a highlight real quick. Just a little highlight. And then I'll change colors. How about pink? Paint. Here we go. So pink. Some highlights. Just simple. Simple and easy. What do you think? Just kind of... Well, I don't know if I like that. I'm not sure if I like that at all. What do you think? Oh, I'll have to think about that. Okay, I'm back. Actually, I just went ahead and put some flowers in the window because it's nothing special. Let's zoom in just a little bit on them. They're tulips, okay? Nothing too crazy, just some tulips. And of course, you gotta make sure they don't all grow straight up, just because that would just look not great. No, they have to go in different directions. Just makes it more natural. Alright. So, we're almost done, I think. At this point, it really is just about shading, especially on the grass. We'll put some shading in the grass and just a little more in the house, I think. Alright. How about one more article? One more article, and then we'll finish up. This article, it's still from realityunmasked.com, is called A Very Long Lucid Dream by Adrian. Alright, you ready? After years of practice, I was inspired by a spontaneous out-of-body experience and recently started my lucid dreaming practice again. So they were practicing it, I guess they stopped for a while, but then they had this spontaneous out-of-body experience. If you don't know what an out-of-body experience is, basically it's an experience where you leave your body. Sometimes that can feel like it's inside of a dream, sometimes it feels like it's not inside of a dream. But as long as you're leaving your body in some way, it is an out-of-body experience. Alright. I committed to 100 lucid dreams. During the pause, I had the occasional OBE or LD lucid dream, but very rarely, and they weren't spectacular as I wasn't prepared to exploit them. Without any practice in 3 years, I only had 4 OBEs, out-of-body experiences, and 4 lucid dreams. If you had any past experience practice in lucid dreaming, you will get some even if you don't actively induce them. So even just like what they're saying, and I think that's true. If you go through the practices, you're kind of activating that in your life. And even if you stop the practices, you'll probably still have some spontaneous random experiences. But if you want to have them more often, pick up the practices again. That's what they're saying. Interestingly, I picked up right where I left off. In the LD scene, all the skills I have developed in the past were still there. I think that's fascinating. That's what the article says. But I think it's fascinating too. If I were to play football after a multi-year break, I would suck. But that is not so with lucid dreaming. So any practice you put in, the skills you gain, will stay with you for the rest of your life, maybe even longer. In order to induce them, I started with daily reality checking as my base practice. Nose pinch test. Right? And close your nose, close your mouth, see if you can still breathe. Whenever I saw a cat. So every time they saw a cat, they would pinch their nose to see if they could breathe. If they can breathe, it means I'm in a dream. Even if you block your airways in the dream, you can still breathe. That's true. Interesting note, after doing these reality checks for a while, I recently have been asked to look after a cat while the owner is on a holiday. I wonder if this is like Neville Goddard's ladder experiment, where you visualize a ladder while falling asleep, and then it appears in real life. Also, the cat looks just like in the picture I used in one of my previous articles. So, did you manifest the cat? I don't know, maybe. Who knows? Is this all a coincidence? Maybe. I also experiment with different LD methods as I go. Ross's technique. I don't know about the Ross's technique, sorry. Wild. That's wake-induced lucid dreaming, basically meditating yourself into a dream. Visualization, wake back to bed, and reading about LD before going to sleep. I highly recommend the Lucid Waker app. It works. There are many settings. It takes a bit of experimentation, but it sure helps. Here's a link for it if you want. I have not tried that before. I don't know what that is. So in this streak, I just had my 8th lucid dream. It was very, very long. Before the attempt, I stumbled upon a video. Let's see what this video is real quick. This video is on YouTube. The Gentle Way Book, a self-help guide.
I'm Tom Moore. I'm author of The Gentle Way. Here are 2 easy things to do to increase abundance in your life. The first is so simple to do. All you have to remember is to say this each and every day. You say, I'm expecting great things today. I'm expecting great things tomorrow.
Okay, so it's like a book on manifestation. Here the author describes a way in which we can ask our guardian angel to compress time when we have a lot of work to do and very little time or running late to a meeting. So I guess in a way you're manifesting, or I don't know, you're kind of changing your experience of time when you feel like you're short on time. That's really interesting. So that could work for a dream. That makes sense. So after watching it, I thought projection time is always in short supply. Projection time is always in short supply. Let's see if it can be applied to lucid dreaming. So I asked during the next LD to please extend time as much as possible. It seems this works, as I have just had the longest lucid dream I ever had in my life, multiple times longer than any before. And I have my own ideas and thoughts on manifestation and on this kind of stuff. Basically, and in my opinion, it doesn't matter. Like, you could say, go, float a goat. Go float your beer down the river. And if that phrase meant to you, I need to extend time, then it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter how you say it, it's the intention. And especially inside of a dream, that is like pure gold. It will work for you. Alright, this night I had to wake up briefly at 2:20 a.m. to care for a patient. Then I went back to sleep and attempted a wild wake-induced lucid dream. It didn't work because I fell asleep. But I still got a DILD, that's dream-induced. That means you're in a dream and you realize you're dreaming. So first I found myself in a normal dream. Someone gave me a gift, a hat. If I take it on, it allows me to levitate objects if they have water content. Okay, that's different. This hat lets me levitate objects if they have water in them. Okay. You do you. Where'd I go? That's interesting. So I tried it and it truly worked. At first I levitated a water jug, then moved on to other objects. At this point, I decided that I should prank my brother and make him believe that he is in a dream by showing him that I can levitate objects. So I waited for him to come home, and when he arrived, I showed him what I could do. He was wondering if it can truly be, as this couldn't happen in normal reality. At this point, I still assumed it's normal reality, so they still thought they were dreaming. Or they still thought they were awake. In hindsight, I feel really stupid that I used this logic to convince him that he is in a dream, while not realizing that I'm myself in a dream too. Yeah, been there, done that. Dream logic is screwed sometimes, yep. Then I went for a walk. I still enjoyed my newfound powers when it suddenly dawned on me, wait a minute, if I can do this, maybe I am in a dream. So I did my reality check and confirmed it to be a dream. The dream space was very vivid already. I didn't have to use deepening to bring it into focus. Deepening might be like rubbing your hands or some people spin around. There's different methods. Twirl your hair. Anything tactile works to help deepen a dream. So they're calling it the act of deepening. I was in a mall and spotted two hot women. You go. I thought I should pick them up. Not like pick them up, I guess. I thought I should pick them up and maybe have some fun with them. Although I was aware it could end my dream prematurely, I expected it to be easy, but they started giving me shit. I was amused. I mean, WTF. You were dream characters. Now even dream women starting to play games? So I left them there and continued to practice my levitation skills in different environments. Gradually, I figured out I can levitate any object, not just the ones with water content. It was really exhilarating. I felt like a Jedi. It was really convenient. If I wanted to pick up an object, it just flew into my hand. I do this all the time. Jedi powers. Like you reach out and like you expect the object to come to you, and it does. Although one time I had what I call a false awakening, and we haven't even got to false awakenings. That's a whole other subject. False awakenings are basically lucid dreams. Although you're not necessarily lucid. You can be lucid, you might not be. You think you've woken up in bed. Excuse me. And it turns out you didn't. You're still dreaming. And one time And because, like they said, like this article said earlier, dream logic is just like, it just goes out the window. And I woke up, not my bed, but in a bed that was in my grandmother's house. She don't even own this house anymore. And, but anyway, there was like an alarm clock on the floor. And I was like, well, if it's a dream, maybe I can make it, use my Jedi powers and make it come to me. It didn't work. No matter what I could do, and I tried so hard, I couldn't make it come to me. But in other dreams, I have no issue whatsoever. I do use telekinesis in my dreams. Alright, let me get back to my painting. Alright. Just gotta readjust my position here. I want to put some shading on the grass, because I think that's going to help it. Just help it look better, more natural. I like the burn tool, so we're going to go back to the burn tool. Burn tool. Okay, here I have to make this all one layer. Just 1 second. Okay, so I selected all the layers that was in that group. This is all my little puffs of grass. And now I'm just going to say merge layers. And now I'm going to name that lawn, just so I can keep up with what I'm doing here. Now I can use my burn tool over the whole thing. Okay. We're getting there. Burn tool. How big should it be? I'm going to make it bigger. It's about 62. We'll try that. And then exposure, we'll turn that up. And I feel like I should get my source image. If you don't have the source image, go back to episode 5 when we started this painting. And the link is in the description. But let me get it pulled up. You know how, like, whenever you're trying to do something, technology says, nope, not today. Kind of like dreams. That happens a lot to me in my dreams. If you want to talk about something real quick, sure, I will. You don't really get a chance to control your dreams much. Dream control is typically the wrong way to describe what we do in dreams. You're more like influencing your surroundings, your environment, the dream. You don't control things, okay? The more you try to control the dream, the more it will control you. The more it will push back, the more it just won't go your way. It won't. You cannot control your dreams. That is something you have to get out of your head right now. You don't control your dreams. Now, you can control obviously you're lucid, you can do whatever you want to do. If the dream allows you, that's another thing. Sometimes the dream doesn't let you do whatever you want to do. But, like, let's say I'm standing on a cliff and I have the choice. I could jump off and if I jumped off, I would fly away. It's not like I want to jump off and Let's say at the bottom of the canyon below, I'm on the Grand Canyon. I'm standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon. And down there, there's someone riding that trail on a donkey. And I want to jump down off the cliff and land on the donkey. Well, the person's in my way. There's a person riding the donkey, so they're in my way. And I have a choice. I could somehow make them get off the donkey so that I can land on it. Or I just like land on them and hopefully they get out of the way. But I can't make them move. I can't make them do anything. And you say, well, it's a dream. They're really technically me. You don't have that much control over. Nope. I do not. Which I find pretty interesting. I have no control over most of what goes on in the dream. Now, I can jump off the cliff and fly down there, and we'll see what happens. But if I try to take control, if I try to make something happen, it's going to push back. I don't know why. It just does. Now, that being said, I have the ability to sort of psychically or telepathically implant an idea into a dream character. So I might implant the idea that it needs to get off the donkey so that I can fly down and land on it. It still may do it, it may not. The person riding the donkey may get off, may not. My point is, it just doesn't always go your way. And when people think about controlling the dreams, they think, oh, I can just make whatever I want happen, and it will happen. It's not like that. You're exploring. You're exploring. You have some abilities, you have some magical powers, but you can't just like, you're God in the dream, but you'll find that being godlike doesn't just mean you can do whatever you want. And that's something I hope you do pursue lucid dreaming and find out what I mean by that. Yeah. So you don't have full control over the dreams. And I believe it was Robert Wagner that put it like this. You're more like the sailor. Your dream is the seas. And sometimes those seas get rough. Sorry, I hit my microphone. I love your microphone. Those seas are rough sometimes. You're the sailor navigating. And that's what it's like to be in a lucid dream and to go through all that. So my point is, don't worry so much about controlling things because you'll just end up disappointed. Learn your abilities, learn what you can do, and just explore. Explore. And you can be a badass magical wizard. I'm not saying you can't. But try to go with the flow. Try to see what the dream can teach you. And you can use your powers. What are some powers? Telekinesis, making things levitate. Telepathy, implanting ideas into people, or actually just communicating with people, with dream characters without speaking. Healing. I've done healing. You put your hands and sometimes a green light comes out, and let's say someone got cut and I can watch their skin meld back together. I walk on water. I ain't trying to be Jesus, but I walk on water. I'm sure if there was a blind person, I could make them see again. I fly. I love flying. It's hard to get high, very high, like past the tree lines. And then once you get past the tree lines, you have to worry about power lines. Very few times have I got past that without a flying device like a airplane or a helicopter. One time it was a scooter. One time I was flying around on one of those Walmart scooters. That was funny. And it could go like 60, like 0 to like jet speed in seconds flat. So I was like, started out at Walmart, and then I was like, and then it was shot up straight to the clouds. That was fun. But and I can reverse time. Like what I do to reverse time, I'll stick my hand out and I'll go counterclockwise. And I can almost feel that going through the fabric of my dream. And next thing I know, the dream's rewinding. I can rewind it to a certain point that might have been more advantageous for me. There's all kinds of things. I love dreaming. I've said before, it's like a second life to me. And I would not give it up for anything. Okay, well, what do you think? I think I'm finished. I'm very, very, very happy. All right, so let's zoom all the way out. Let's pretend like you didn't see that. Now, we're having an adventure in painting. We're having a dream. What is this dream going to be about? Let's see. Whoa, cool. There's a sunrise, mountains in the background. And I just live in this little cabin. Very, very cute, simple life. I can imagine myself living there. What about you? I wonder what your painting looks like if you've been painting along. Feel free to show me. Comments below. I don't know how you would show me, but you could figure it out, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I had a lot of fun. This was very, I think I learned quite a few things doing this painting. Hopefully you did too. And we learned some stuff about lucid dreaming. Please, if you get into those practices, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. So, all right, next video, we'll start a new painting, and we won't talk about lucid dreaming again for a while. So, this has been another episode of Adventures in Painting. This is episode 7, and we have finished Leaving at Sunrise. It's finished, yay! And I'm your host, Justin. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you want to, know when the next episode comes out. So, until next time, happy adventures. Bye.